I decided to do an apprenticeship because it gives you that professional qualification and the ability to kind of move your career forwards within a certain industry.
I really liked the idea of earning on the job and learning from industry professionals. I won't have any student debt, there are no learning costs for me. I'm paid to be here in the building, which is great. And also I love that it's a qualification that's recognised everywhere and I can take somewhere else when I finish my apprenticeship.
My favourite part of the job is after you've been at work all day and then you look about and you see what you've done, you check if it's level and it's bang on level, and you just get that gratification at the end of the day that you know you've done it well and you've done it right and you know it looks good, and even your boss is telling you, oh, well done.
I've done two of the most highly technical roles during the course of my apprenticeship, and I am an HR professional, so I did not even know what numbers are. But here I got trained, skilled, and then I was empowered to run the patch by myself.
One of the main benefits, I think, is that there are no learning costs for me, so I don't need a student loan. I earn a wage, I'm paid to be here.
I think the benefits of an apprenticeship, it gives you that technical knowledge to an employer, such as university. You can kind of get stuck into your projects there, but it doesn't give you as much real-world experiences.
It's a level 3 what I'm pursuing, and it's an advanced apprenticeship program for 18 months. So during our program, we've had milestones to achieve and monthly assignments to do, but at the end of 18 months, I'll have to sit for an endpoint assessment, after which I will be a qualified NCVQ L3 apprentice who knows telecom operations and planning.
I work with there's other 3 apprentices and a few other bricklayers. They're all supportive. They're all great to work around. We have a laugh. Yeah, it's a really, to be honest, it's a really good environment to work in. I couldn't really ask for a much better bunch of lads to work with.
So I usually meet with my training provider once a month from the college. We meet online or in person to look at the work I've already done and to get some feedback on that, and to then identify gaps in my knowledge.
With our training provider, they've given us monthly coaching and guiding sessions. They also conduct a lot of classroom sessions and make sure that we understand the impact of our role in the larger scheme of affairs.
I think some common misconceptions of apprenticeship could be that it's always going to be in construction, like there's lots of different types of apprenticeships.
The work you do isn't real work. It's not true. I'm given true responsibility within the team, true jobs with real deadlines that help the team and the organisation as a whole.
Come make me a cup of tea, you don't really do out, you're just there as a dog's body, but you're not, you're there to work, you earn money, to learn trade and to become good at what you're doing.
Also, you don't have to be 16 and do it. Like I'm 27 now and in my second year apprenticeship, so at any age I think you can go for it if you want to kind of forward yourself in a given sector.
Put 100% effort into it and you will come out, it will be beneficial to you.
My advice is for anyone who's thinking about an apprenticeship is have a look and see what you're interested in, because when you're interested in something you learn 10 times more than if it's something that you're pushed into by peer pressure family, if everybody's going into the same industry. But I'd say find what you like doing, learn as much as you can prior to starting and just enjoy the journey and get into something that you want to do.
The benefit of an apprenticeship is build your skill, build your knowledge, build your experience, earn a salary, no student fees. Happy days.
You get to gain a nationally recognised qualification. You can train and learn while you're earning money as well.
You learn on the job, you gain experience while you're learning.
The best way to learn is by doing a job, getting stuck in, getting straight in and getting that work experience alongside studying at the same time. It's the perfect balance.
You're able to get work experience, it's what employers are after, as well as working towards a recognised qualification.
The benefits are you can earn while you're learning, and also you can achieve a qualification and getting an apprenticeship in something that you really want to do.
Carve out your own career, find your footing in a business, take that time to learn and gradually think about what's going to get you out of bed in the morning and what's going to really excite you from a job.
You get on-the-job skills training, as it were, and you also get an opportunity to go and further your education.
I did an apprenticeship when I first started out as well. Best thing about it is earning and learning at the same time, gaining valuable job skills, life skills, giving that introduction into working in a professional environment, learning the basics of being in a workplace, learning new skills, meeting new friends, everything like that.
Nice to meet you. So very informal discussion, really. Right. We're going to ask you things like, well, just ask you questions about apprenticeships and your organisations, and maybe have any of you actually done apprenticeship yourselves? Yes. You have? Yeah. Fabulous. Might start with you then. Might start with you. Yeah. So first of all, we'll just work through and ask you to introduce yourselves and what organisations you come from, and just have a chat for about 20 minutes, and then we'll take some questions from the audience. Yeah, great. Just turn my phone off so I'm not annoying everybody. Benefits are for
in the real
on the
what making it
the party to sort of get them in through the door.
It's a good question. I have it a lot from apprentices, and over my working career I think I must have recruited potentially 50 to 100 apprentices. Passion and enthusiasm, beats any qualification, any exam result. And we can see that. When an apprentice walks through the door and they sit there and you see that passion in their eyes and they've made something at school and they're so proud of it. And we've had a lot, oh, I did this in engineering, and I said, well, tell me how you made it. Why did you decide to make that? That speaks volumes. It speaks more than any exam results. So when a 16-year-old comes in, or a 17 or 18, passion and enthusiasm beats anything, because we have always said that. A CV, an exam result, it may get you through the door for the interview, and that's all it does. But during the interview, when we sit there and we're talking to the future generation of engineers, you can see it. And we always look for that. Because if you're really passionate and you want to take a career in engineering, for that reason, fantastic.
I'll just support that from Leeds City College point of view and apprenticeships overall. Then it is good to come with the maths and English grades that we generally look for. But people who come with that haven't got those, then we will take them forward and try and achieve the maths and the English at functional skills level. However, the maths and the English, and learn something more to develop their skills in the industry, but they don't necessarily have to take the exam. So going forward, we can give them some help and advice, help them towards the overall apprenticeship, but the exam is not essential part of it anymore. So that's a new rule which came in this year.
Maybe so, just for the level 2, but not for the level 3 on that. So I want to say as well, and I don't want to dissuade anybody, there is a level of academic ability needed for apprenticeships in engineering. However, if you test and screen and make sure you're getting the right starting point for people, that's what matters. So rather than just chucking somebody straight in and then hoping that it works, it's not going to be right. So we test, we screen, we make sure people are going in at the right level. We understand, I've just been speaking to a chap downstairs, and he said I had something wrong with me for a few months, and then COVID kicked in, and then so there's a lot of tuition for a lot of people that are sat here today that they've missed out on. Don't worry too much about it. Again, we're looking for the individual and reasons why you want to do this. And please, when you applying for any position, whether it's engineering or whatever, tell people why you want to do it. It's not just good enough, my brother does it, my mum does it. You've got to state really why you want to do this and why you feel it's you that should be working for that organisation. And the employers that are sat here, I'm sure they'll see that. But, I do want to say there is a level of academic ability, because if you're doing something along the lines of a level 3 apprenticeship, the maths and science is going to be at A level, but getting the right starting point and can lead up to that as well. So there you go.
Great questions. Are all apprentices into this sector level? What level are they? Do they range at different levels, and how is that for different apprentices?
So apprenticeships start at level 2, and currently at the moment going all the way up to level 7s. So if you think that when you're in year 11, you are classed as level 2, so that's GCSE kind of grades. Now some places will put you onto a level 2 apprenticeship. For us, if we feel that you've got the ability, then we would look at a level 3 apprenticeship. Now, level 3 apprenticeship in engineering is somewhere between 36 and 48 months. And a lot of them have level 2 practical skills and level 3 technical skills that's involved with that, plus other things that are involved. So yeah, coming straight from school, there's a good possibility that you can go straight on to level 2. We don't work like that. If we think somebody's got the potential and they're testing well, they're showing that appetite to go out there and get it, then we'll put them straight onto a level 3 apprenticeship, which is what employers want, and it's 4 years in most cases. But it works well for you guys. Ingrid at the side of me, she's got award-winning apprentices that are with them at the moment. So it's everything's an individual case.
I'd just like to echo that. We've got 7 apprentices going through our scheme at the moment. We've got 4 that started last year, and we've got 3 that are actually coming out of their level 3 apprenticeship this year. 2 of them are going on to HNC. One of them's a quality engineer now, so he's going to take some quality courses and qualifications. We start off at level 3, and the good thing now about apprenticeships is they're at college 2 days a week. Then even in-house, we give them a lot of time, and we put a lot of effort into helping them achieve their qualifications. And I generally come back to that point again, if they're actually interested in the subject matter and they're passionate about it, then they want to learn it. It doesn't become a drag. So the key thing I would say is go into engineering because you like it, you're passionate about it, you're interested in it, and you see a future in it, because these are the key building blocks to get you through your qualifications.
What I would say is don't give up. If you don't get the grades that you need to get to where you need to get to, don't worry about it. The doors are there for you to open. They might not be this time round, they might be next time round. To an employer, if you apply first time round and you're unsuccessful, but you apply next time, then you have a passion because you've come back again. I have an apprentice that works with me. She is in her early 30s. She has 3 children. She didn't pass her maths and her English when she was at school. She was a horse physiotherapist. She is now an apprentice engineer in her 3rd year. She worked on aircraft on a night when her children were young, cleaning them. And she worked with the engineer.
Speak to people. There's lots of platforms online. Speak to people such as us. We're an independent training provider. There's colleges on your doorstep. There's enough people there to offer you the advice and guidance, and they should be within your schools. So yeah, as I say, see what it's like out there. Do you know what? If there's something that you really want to do, and you think, right, there's a company on your doorstep, get in touch with them. Do you know, the worst they can say is no. But then if you get in touch with them and say, I really want to do that job. Tell me how you got into it. How did you get into this industry? Where did you get to, how did you get to where you are now? And they might say, you know what, come on down. See what we're all about. Because believe me, I'm sure I speak for some of the employers. It's an hard slog is recruitment. If people come into them directly, it can certainly take a bit of the hard work out of that. That's that.
I think I build on that in doing your research. I think it's really important to get a good cultural fit between the organisation and the apprentice, because I think sometimes people think, I've got to go and work for that organisation because of the name, but it might not fit your values, it might not fit with what your beliefs are, and making sure that you have that sort of environment that's going to be somewhere that you enjoy going to every day. Because, believe you me, 5 days a week, however many hours you're working, you want to be happy and enjoying your job. So do that research and making sure that, you've got a good sort of affinity with that employer. Because I think that partnership, and I talk about this pastoral care between the employer, the individual and the training provider, is absolutely key to that success. And if you get those elements right, then the likelihood of it succeeding is far greater. And one piece of advice, 3 words, let me remember them: patience, perseverance and persistence. They were 3 things that I remember from being, probably as most of you, embarking on your careers, and having a talk from somebody inspirational about, what would be the best advice I could ever give to you is to be patient, to persevere and to be persistent. So don't give up. And I think that reiterates what everybody else has said. So thank you.
Yeah, I totally agree. A lot of youngsters, and I don't want to put a damper on it, you've got 45 years plus to work. And when you sit back and you think 45 years, and we've been there, I started at the age of 16.
How many have you got left then?
I've got a fair few left. 45 years, it sounds like a lot, but the key thing is, am I going to enjoy it? Is it going to make me happy? It's a long time. Will I have an interest in it? Do your homework and go into something that, I'm passionate about it, I like it, and I do
would you like to say hello?
I'm Phil from Open Source Arts. Thanks, Myra.
You're welcome. Teamwork. And yeah, welcome everyone, and welcome everyone in the audience. And would you like to start by introducing yourself and what you do in the organisation?
So I'm Chris Tunninley at Leeds College of Building, Assistant Principal for Adults and Higher Education.
I'm Rob Smith, Apprenticeship Manager at Leeds College of Building.
Hello, my name's Peter Dawson. I'm the Contracts Manager for John Siskinson. I operate in and around Yorkshire.
Daniel Rigby, I'm the Learning and Development Business Partner for GMI Construction.
Hi, Gemma Carmody, Regional Director for Civil Engineering Contractors Association in Yorkshire and the Humber.
Lovely. And what does an apprentice bring to your organisation? Because you've all got apprentices in your organisations, range different numbers and doing all kinds of different jobs, I'm sure. And yeah, what do they bring to your organisation?
Speaking personally, which is probably the only thing I can do, they bring energy, they bring a bit of excitement, they bring a fresh way of looking at things, and also they bring out the best in the people around them. That helps mentor them. It's amazing how people who you think are quite reserved will open up and help with an apprentice and share knowledge. So it develops the people around them as well as themselves, and it's really good to see. It's excellent.
I very much agree with that. You know, you get your apprentices in, working with those existing members of staff who, you know, it's pushing them both ways. So you got.
They have that experience. Using an apprentice on YouTube, a day in the life of a quantity surveyor, a day in the life of a civil engineer, and make sure you read full-time courses as well. Because if you're not successful getting an apprenticeship the first time, if you're on a full-time course, then you can get that on your CV, and that stands you in real good stead when you apply to these companies. It's going to look really good, certainly in construction at Leeds College of Building.
To an apprentice, what you're passionate about and what you're interested in on site as well.
There's leaders, there'll be leading teams, there'll be setting plans and designing. Some of the emerging topics of the day right now are going to be steered by apprentices in the future, or graduating apprentices in the future, all that kind of thing.
I think most colleges, all courses that you're looking at now, we're looking at digital future and the sustainability of it going forward as well. All clients, everyone's talking about.
Of the more experienced generation, adapt to technology and help them through that change journey. So once again, it goes back to what we were saying earlier. There's a two-way relationship here. You know, the apprentices will learn the experience, but they also bring in kind of new ways of working, and technology is really playing a part in that as we move forwards.
Yeah, the big push within our phase is done in a controlled environment. Wastage is minimised, so that helps with the net zero, where safety is increased because you're not putting people in construction with high rise and all the challenges they are with small footprint.
Construction, that's all coming in, and it's going to get companies are going to, and the jobs are going to change. We talk about green jobs. I'm not sure what that means. I think an electrician will still be an electrician, but they'll be working on technology to
make sure that the next generation of apprentices, the next generation of students who become part of the construction workforce have got those skills and that they are useful to the businesses and that always that we work with.
Great, thank you. Shall we take some questions from the audience? You don't have a question? Okay. Is anybody?
But work experience and get all the employers, it's a definite challenge. We've also shipping, quantity surveying, civil engineering and so on. So yeah.
Can I ask for you to share with us for young people who might be about to start, they might need to do in green skills or sustainable skills? How do you see that working in the immediate future where qualifications are still waiting to be developed or new apprenticeship standards?
Off-site manufacturing, for instance, we teach about renewables. So going to change significantly with climate change, so the curriculum will have to change. The new HTQs that are coming out in September have technology that comes out, and I think what's going to drive industry is central government and legislation changing that will drive companies to change the way they work, which will then feed into our curriculum and what we teach for the future.
I think it's probably one of the benefits of being in an apprenticeship as well, is that if you're in an employer and you're in on that process with them, as opposed to perhaps if you're purely studying full time, then you are kind of a bit more, waiting for the qualifications and things to catch up a little bit. If you are in an apprenticeship with an employer, then you are being brought along on that journey with them as well.
Any other questions from the floor? I'm wondering. Oh, yeah. Go for it.
Well, I understand there's been some sport news today, but let's not talk about that. Can you tell us a bit about progression and career development opportunities within the sector, or particularly the two businesses, GMI and Cisco, are here today?
Yeah, it's a really good point and something I was discussing downstairs. Once you've finished your apprenticeship within John Sisk and I presume GMI, we sort of pride ourselves on not curtailing anybody's growth. So you're not pigeonholed that you did this degree, you'll do this. There's so many different opportunities within the business, whether it's the advertising side or temporary works design or work winning or environmental. And if that's something you find yourself more interested in, or planning, or the list goes on, we're very sort of liquid and mobile, that we can put people in what they want to do, because that keeps employees happy and therefore employers happy. So it's a lot different from my day. I keep saying how old I am, but movement from departments is a lot more flexible than it used to be, and it's something we've as a company we've recognised, and we're really pushing. It's part of our vision with career development. Is no ceiling, nothing. Whether you're a man, woman, child, all of that, but also if you're an engineer, you don't have to stay as an engineer. So yeah, it's something that we need to do to keep good staff. Let them flourish at what they want to do.
I very much agree with that, in the sense that a lot of our senior management at GMI have come from apprenticeship route, or have come through the ranks, shall we say. Very much like yourself, we've invested 2, 3, 4, 5 years and a lot of money into the apprenticeships, not just for the cost of the course, but actually all the mentoring, all the support and go around. The last thing we want you to do is to then get to the kind of end of that program and go, I'm off somewhere else. So we want to make sure that you want to stay with a GMI and so on. And to do that, there's opportunities to cross over different departments, develop it through your department, even pick up on even further education beyond that, or start to specialise in certain topics. So for me, what it comes down to, it's very much down to you as the individual, the attitude you have towards the apprenticeship. If you see an apprenticeship as a jolly, as something I'm just going to get paid while I work 4 days and go and enjoy college or uni a day a week, that's not the case. It's hard work, but it's very rewarding, and there's a real good career potential out the end of it for you. So think about the kind of the frameworks you want to get on. Think about who you want the providers to be. Think about the company. Trial some of these roles before you kind of go ahead. Work experience, summer internships, anything like that. So reach out to companies. It doesn't have to be GMI. Go onto Google. There's hundreds and hundreds of companies out there. Give them a call and see whether you can do some work experience. Ask questions. Get to know some of those people doing the roles already. It's all about making the journey right for you, and that's your career. Only you can take charge of your career.
A bit of shameless advertising, but in terms of finding apprenticeships, we've got at Leeds College of Building, we've got an open evening on the 23rd of February at our North Street campus, just over the hill here, and between the hours of 5 o'clock and 7 on a degree apprenticeship, potentially with the same employer. So in terms of career progression, we see that an awful lot, but we've got some of these employers who we work with who are coming in on Thursday evening with us, and they're there.
I decided to do an apprenticeship because it gives you that professional qualification and the ability to kind of move your career forwards within a certain industry.
I really liked the idea of earning on the job and learning from industry professionals. I won't have any student debt, there are no learning costs for me. I'm paid to be here in the building, which is great. And also I love that it's a qualification that's recognised everywhere and I can take somewhere else when I finish my apprenticeship.
My most favourite part of the job is after you've been at work all day and then you look about and you see what you've done. You check if it's level and it's bang on level, and you just get that gratification at the end of the day that you know you've done it well and you've done it right, and you know it looks good, and even your boss is telling you, oh, well done.
I've done 2 of the most highly technical roles during the course of my apprenticeship, and I am an HR professional, so I did not even know what numbers are. But here I got trained, skilled, and then I was empowered to run the patch by myself.
One of the main benefits, I think, is that there are no learning costs for me, so I don't need a student loan. I earn a wage, I'm paid to be here.
I think the benefits of an apprenticeship, it gives you that technical knowledge to an employer, such as university. You can kind of get stuck into your projects there, but it doesn't give you as much real-world experiences.
It's a level 3 what I'm pursuing, and it's an advanced apprenticeship program for 18 months. So during our program, we've had milestones to achieve and monthly assignments to do, but at the end of 18 months, I'll have to sit for an endpoint assessment, after which I will be a qualified NCVQ L3 apprentice who knows telecom operations and planning.
I work with there's other 3 apprentices and a few other bricklayers. They're all supportive. They're all great to work around. We have a laugh. Yeah, it's a really, to be honest, it's a really good environment to work in. I couldn't really ask for a much better bunch of lads to work with.
So I usually meet with my training provider once a month from the college. We meet online or in person to look at the work I've already done and to get some feedback on that, and to then identify gaps in my knowledge.
With our training provider, they've given us monthly coaching and guiding sessions. They also conduct a lot of classroom sessions and make sure that we understand the impact of our role in the larger scheme of affairs.
I think some common misconceptions of apprenticeship could be that it's always going to be in construction, like there's lots of different types of apprenticeships.
The work you do isn't real work. It's not true. I'm given true responsibility within the team, true jobs with real deadlines that help the team and the organisation as a whole.
Come make me a cup of tea, you don't really do out, you're just there as a dog's body, but you're not, you're there to work, you earn money, to learn trade and to become good at what you're doing.
Also, you don't have to be 16 and do it. Like I'm 27 now and in my 2nd year apprenticeship, so at any age I think you can go for it if you want to kind of forward yourself in a given sector.
Put 100% effort into it and you will come out, it will be beneficial to you.
My advice is for anyone who's thinking about an apprenticeship is have a look and see what you're interested in, because when you're interested in something you learn 10 times more than if it's something that you're pushed into by peer pressure, family, if everybody's going into the same industry. But I'd say find what you like doing, learn as much as you can prior to starting, and just enjoy the journey and get into something that you want to do.
The benefit of an apprenticeship is build your skill, build your knowledge, build your experience, earn a salary, no student fees. Happy days.
You get to gain a nationally recognised qualification. You can train and learn while you're earning money as well.
You learn on the job, you gain experience while you're learning.
The best way to learn is by doing a job, getting stuck in, getting straight in and getting that work experience alongside studying at the same time. It's the perfect balance.
You're able to get work experience. It's what employers are after, as well as working towards a recognised qualification.
The benefits are you can earn while you're learning, and also you can achieve a qualification and getting an apprenticeship in something that you really want to do.
Carve out your own career, find your footing in a business, take that time to learn and gradually think about what's going to get you out of bed in the morning and what's going to really excite you from a job.
You get on-the-job skills training, as it were, and you also get an opportunity to go and further your education.
I did an apprenticeship when I first started out as well. Best thing about it is earning and learning at the same time, gaining valuable job skills, life skills, giving that introduction into working in a professional environment, learning the basics of being in a workplace, learning new skills, meeting new friends, everything like that.
Hello everybody, welcome to the digital panel for Leeds Apprenticeship Recruitment Festival 2023. I'm going to sit down here, and my name is Philip, and I work for a company called Open Source Arts, which is based down in Kirksall Road. And
I'm Myra, I also work at Open Source Arts. Welcome everyone.
And we have a very special panel today. I'm going to just hand over immediately to the panelists to begin and introduce themselves. So, hello, hi, just tell us what your name is, who you're representing, and maybe say, no, that'll do for now, actually. We'll get into more questions in a bit. You just tell us what your name is and who you're here with.
Hi, my name's Katie Rankin. I'm the Emerging Talent and Careers Manager at jet2.com and also the co-chair of the Apprentice Ambassador Network for Yorkshire and Humber.
Wow.
Thanks, Philip. My name is Joe Hockney. I'm Employer Partnerships Manager for Digital at Sheffield Hallam University, and I also lead on apprenticeship recruitment in our team.
Hi, my name's Beth and I work at Channel 4. My job title is Assistant Producer for Snapchat.
Hi, my name's Cheryl McFarlane and I'm Deputy Head of Apprenticeships in Digital and IT.
Hi, my name's Emma Bryce and I'm the Business Development Executive for our Digital and IT Apprenticeships at Luminate Education Group. Cheryl and I work closely together to speak to employers and work out how we can tailor apprenticeships to employers and students.
So you're from Leeds City College, is that right? Yeah. Excellent. And what does an apprentice bring to your organisation or organisations that you work with? Maybe start that.
Do you want to answer that? Yes,
We'll have the talking stick. Thanks. So it's all about the benefits, right?
Yeah.
Great. And we also employ apprentices as well. We've got 4, but we're obviously not answering because it's all about you.
I think for me it's that passion, enthusiasm, engagement that you get from apprenticeships who can be of any age, and it's the fact that you're bringing in that fresh thinking, new ideas, the fact that they're learning whilst they're doing the job as well, so bringing in new ways of working, bringing in all that new theory and knowledge behind it that can help us drive forward and grow the business.
Thank you. So we are not the employer in this sense. We're a training provider, so we deliver the degree element of the apprenticeship, although we do have our own apprentices in our IT department, which is good, and they're doing very well. So really, in terms of business benefit, it's around talent pipeline, bringing diverse new young talent into the team, and hopefully retaining that talent longer term.
I think in terms for Channel 4, the department that I work in is like the social team, so we do a lot of the social media for Channel 4's platforms. So I think it's really great. The apprentices are a similar like target market to who we're trying to appeal to. So yeah, a lot of the apprentices have like really great ideas that a lot of the time we like put forward and use on the social channels as well.
I think for us, we are, as a provider, we obviously offer apprenticeships across lots of different departments, from sort of business to finance to IT. We also look to recruit internally and upskill so that they can stay with us for lots of years. Again, as a provider, we work with employers to tailor apprenticeships to meet their needs so that they've got future talent pool of learners really who can integrate into their businesses, but also then continue to upskill through the different levels of apprenticeships that are available.
Yeah, I would say as well, like we're very lucky with a lot of the employers that we do work with, that as a provider with a lot of apprenticeships to offer, we can kind of go in and offer one area, but then look at other areas of their workforce, so HR, as Cheryl said, digital, business development and things like that. So we've got quite a nice rapport with employers that we work with, and a lot of the time employers are looking for progression opportunities, so that first point of contact, they'll be like, right, well, what can they do after that, and that's really nice to start kind of mapping out for people as well.
And is that different for coming through the route of via an apprenticeship compared to other routes into the digital sector? And what are the benefits of coming into the sector via the apprenticeship route?
I think, I don't know, I'd say probably I wouldn't know too much about non-apprenticeships, but I'd say I think it might have been mentioned over there that I don't know, sometimes apprenticeships might be seen as a young person's role, but some of the employers we're working with, that's definitely not the case. Employers are looking to upskill all the time, and so a lot of our apprentices are self-sourced. It's an employer who's got in touch and said, we'd like to upskill this person in this area. I don't know if you want to speak about kind of coming into digital.
Yeah, I think a lot of employers are realising that transferable skills are key as well, and how they can use those skills and then teach the knowledge elements which come with digital and IT, because it's not always a natural first choice. We're working with a lot of companies who are sort of targeting who they want to move into their workplace with them, so we're offering the softer skills, the developmental skills, and then shorter courses, and then onto the apprenticeship programmes, so that they've got this real nice pipeline of learners coming through.
What was the question? Sorry.
What are some of I've forgotten the question as well.
It was about, why is it good to do an apprenticeship to get into the industry instead of another access route?
I mean, there are obviously different like routes to get there. Some of the apprentices that we've got, it's not always guaranteed that you will have a job at the end. But part of the reason that Channel 4 have set up their hub in Leeds is because they want talent from like around the north. So if there are like opportunities coming up towards the end of an apprenticeship, they are always like really, really keen to keep people on and keep people employed. So it's a really good route to obviously kind of work your way up into the industry that way.
Thank you. So yeah, just a quick point I wanted to make about entry into the industry through an apprenticeship, and that is you don't need necessarily an IT or a STEM background to be eligible. So just talking about our own apprenticeship programme. So we're looking for A-levels or BTEC, but that could be in any subject. Doesn't have to be IT or computing. Now, if you've done A-level computer science or IT and you've got good grades, that's fantastic. That'll give you a good, solid background, but you don't need those subjects. And I just wanted to be clear about that because it's quite important on the diversity side. So a lot of employers are looking for more female candidates for IT apprenticeships, but then there's always, for a long, long time, been a shortage of basically not enough female students picking STEM subjects at A-levels and GCSE. So what we're saying is, it doesn't really matter what subjects you have done. If you've got a passion for getting into digital, then we'd like to hear from you.
And a good provider will always help you build up the skills, right?
That's what an apprenticeship is.
Yeah, yeah.
You're working from the ground up.
Yeah, and I think the real benefit of joining through an apprenticeship is you are developing that knowledge through the training provider or the employer, the skills, putting it into practice that will set you up, and you're getting that formal qualification. I think for us, we need more digital skills in our organisation. So everybody who's going to book a holiday with Jet2 is going to do it through one of our online systems, be that over the phone or in a travel agent. Everybody's booking goes on our online systems. We need to make sure they're always working for anybody to be able to work as a colleague or as someone wanting to book a holiday with us. But I think doing it through an apprenticeship, certainly within our organisation, it opens up so many more opportunities, because doing it as a formal training programme, we, for example, will put you through a lot of colleague development courses, and we give you that wider business understanding, not just the role you're going into. You get so much more exposure to the organisation, so many more opportunities to get involved, to find out how that organisation works, that will set you up for that future career. And understanding that wider business operation, how what you do impacts on other people and vice versa, will really help as you try and develop in the organisation, when you're making decisions and when you're trying to progress up through the organisation as well.
Fab, thank you. Do we have time for some questions from the audience? It'd be great to hear if anybody had a question for somebody on the panel. Particularly if you're thinking of doing an apprenticeship yourself, what kind of things are going through your mind at the moment that you might like to ask one of the panellists?
I've got a question.
Let me get the microphone. Oh.
My question is, it sounded from what one of you said was that there isn't a guaranteed job at the end of the completion of the apprenticeship. So what happens if you do an apprenticeship and there's no job? Great question.
Yeah, sure.
I think within digital and IT especially, they do want to keep you. There is a skills shortage, there is a skills gap. So I would say at least 95% of our students do progress onto full-time employment within digital and IT. If not, it's part of the talks. What are your next steps? We're looking, there's opportunities. We work with you as a college to make sure that that transition into whatever you want to do next, because it might not be for you. You might stay and finish the qualification but want to look at something else, and you take your transferable skills with you then onto something else. I don't know if that's...
Can I come in on that one? Yeah. So just to echo what you've said there about most employers, once you've completed the apprenticeship, they want you to stick around because you've been adding value to the business. They want to keep you longer term. Vast majority of the employers will offer you a permanent contract. Even if they don't, you've still got a qualification. You've got either level 3 that you can then progress. If you come to us, you've got a degree in a computer science degree. You can go on from there, do a master's, do whatever you want really. So at least you've got a solid grounding in the industry.
And from our experience as an employer, if we have an apprentice that really shows real aptitude, we're desperate to keep them, because they know so much and we've put so much time into training them and working with them, and they know the team, they know how the business operates, that we're desperate for them not to leave. And sometimes we miss the boat, and another employer offers them a job before we have offered them a job, and then they're off working for somebody else. So actually it can be a great opportunity for somebody who's done an apprenticeship to enter the workforce. Yeah. Who else has a question? Hi.
Yeah, with the development of artificial intelligence in graphic design or even copywriting, how can you prepare us to basically counter that intelligence? How could we stay relevant learning in that domain? because it is a worrying thing for us studying in that field or wanting to study in that field, wondering, okay, in 3 or 5 or 10 years, is our job still going to be relevant? How are you preparing us for that?
Thank you for asking that question. Who would like to go first?
We work with the organisations. They're key to our curriculum development. So we sit with them, we ask what they need from you as an apprentice, and then we make sure that that is mapped into what we deliver.
We had a really interesting conversation with an employer about artificial intelligence. A lot of it went straight over my head because I'm not really from that background. But as Cheryl said, you know, I think a lot of the time the employers are wanting to integrate that into their workplace as well. So as an apprentice, I think you'd move with that all the time with that development in digital and IT, and then the apprenticeship would then sort of adapt, I think, with the curriculum.
I think as well, like, people are really afraid of being made redundant, you know. But the more you know and the more experience you have, the less possible it is for you to become redundant, because actually people want people with lots of experience, lots of different strands to their knowledge, and that makes you a more kind of flexible, useful employee. So, you know, getting into an apprenticeship is great because you learn from so many different angles, which I think you'll be ahead of the crowd, actually, rather than if you just had one specialism which could be replaced by a machine. Did you have something to say?
It kind of follows on from that same strand. I think doing an apprenticeship, you're in that world of work, in that area. So you're getting that information from both the employer that you're working with, but also the training provider, where actually they're bringing in the latest models, the latest theories, the latest ways of working. And you're getting that information from both sides that's developing you. And it's there. I think that's the real key benefit of apprenticeships, is you're getting that experience as well as qualifications that will set you up for the future.
Great question, though. I think everyone must be thinking about it, so thanks for asking it. Who else has a question? Doesn't have to be as good as that one. Yeah.
Hi. Can I just ask if there's opportunities for people who have young people who haven't got A levels, have got some disabilities, you know, in terms of their capacity?
Is there anything else to your question? No. Okay, good. So just from our perspective, we employ one apprentice who's on the autistic spectrum, and another apprentice who is not a native English speaker and did not have any functional skills qualifications whenever they entered employment with us. And it did not inhibit our willingness to employ them as an apprentice at all. And we found the institutions to be really supportive with their learning, like really, really supportive. And I'll hand over to the people who actually deliver the training to talk a bit more about it, but that's just my initial reaction to that.
Okay, thank you for the question. I can only speak for our own entry requirements and things like that. So we would be looking for level 3 qualifications, so either A level, level 3 BTEC, or level 3 apprenticeship. So what I would say is, if someone doesn't have level 3, if they were to go away and do a level 3 apprenticeship somewhere else and then wanted to progress to degree level, they would be eligible to apply through us. And if they were on programme, they would have the access to the same level of support, student support, as any other student in the university. Mental health, obviously a lot of our students have got dyslexia or disabilities, barriers to learning. We're here to support them all the way through because we want them to do well. We want them to get to the end and pass and graduate from their degree. So I hope that answers the question in some way.
So Channel 4, as well as the apprenticeships, so it all falls under 4 Skills. So 4 Skills, they also offer, they've just started doing like a virtual work experience programme. You don't have to have like any experience, any qualifications to do that. And it's all delivered virtually as well. So it means that anyone can kind of do it at their own pace and their own time and apply through there. 4 Skills, as a department, offer like really great insight if you need any like extra support with applications as well. So yeah, definitely don't, like, if you think there's a barrier to applying and stuff, always reach out because they'll be there to help.
As a college, we can offer additional learning support or additional learning needs. the more we know about the learner, the more support we can put in place right up front to make sure that the transition then into an employer, we can even work with employers who are really keen to give people opportunities. So it's making sure that the fix is right for that individual, and there is lots of additional support in place for that.
I think some of our apprenticeships as well, employers set the entry requirements. Some employers might ask for maths GCSE, English GCSE. So just for our level 2 apprenticeships, sometimes level 3. If you don't have maths and English, as a college we offer functional skills level 2, which is equivalent to GCSE. So for example, you might be doing an apprenticeship and you had grade 4 in maths, but you didn't get your English. You can work towards that as well. You do just have to achieve that before endpoint assessment. So it's not the end of the road if you don't get your maths and English at GCSE. We can support you with that as a college as well.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yeah. Come round this way.
Thank you. Please, in terms of eligibility criteria, what's the prospect for somebody who probably is not a UK citizen, maybe on Tier 4 dependent visa? What is the prospect in terms of eligibility? Thank you.
The ESFA funding requirements, it's usually 3 years of residency within the country. What can help us is when you are applying is to send us, we will ask for evidence of your residency. If you've got a residency card, we can review it, but usually it's the funding agency's requirements. You can find those online as well, if that's useful, yeah.
Thank you. So we have another question here.
Hi panel. I'd like to ask, how many apprentices do you actually offer, and how long are the apprenticeships last?
I feel like I've been speaking.
I think as a Illuminate group we have over 200 different standards. The shortest term is 12 months and 1 day, and some can go on to 4 years. So it just depends on the pathway that that person chooses.
I don't know the exact number of apprenticeships for Channel 4, but so Channel 4 have a base in Leeds, so there's quite a big number of like creative style apprenticeships around Leeds, and then there's also some based like in Manchester as well, and in London, and they range from anything from 14 months to 2 years, I think. So yeah.
Are you asking about just digital or everything? Just in digital, okay. So Sheffield Hallam, so we offer, so at level 6, which is undergrad, and that includes level 4, 5 and 6 integrated. So we've got software engineer, IT consultant, creative digital design and digital UX. And those programs are all 3 years long, and they involve block study at the university. We've also got a master's level, an MSc, which is 2 years. Okay.
Would you like to add anything?
So at Jet2 we have around 30 different apprenticeships that we have available from range level 2 to level 7, but specifically in digital. We have information communication technician, software development technician, business analyst, IT project manager, data technician, data analyst, data scientist. I'll leave it there. Probably a few more, but please come see us if you want to find out more. They do range from, I say, around the sort of 13 months up to maybe sort of 18 months data scientist, 3 years. But yeah, lots of different opportunities.
Thank you. So one last question before we begin to bring this particular panel to a close. Who would like to ask the final question, please? Hello.
I'm just asking on behalf of those who would like to join apprenticeships from A level, what grades would you prefer, particularly for like data scientist? He's interested in data science.
So that's a question about what grades people would prefer? Okay.
Yeah, so for entry onto our apprenticeships, we're looking for 112 UCAS points. So that would equate to BBC grade at A-level or distinction merit at BTEC. We can be a little bit flexible on the, on A-level results day. Sometimes people don't quite get what their predicted grades. But roughly speaking, 112 is what we're looking for. All right. Anyone else?
Great. Thank you for so many good questions and for such interest in what the panel have to say. I think we should bring it to a close now. But before we do, I would like to ask the panel, what would be the one big piece of advice that you would give to a person who was interested in taking on an apprenticeship and was just trying to figure out if it was right for them?
I think for apprenticeships, because they are usually quite specific to the role that you're going into, I think it's key to do some research, to have a look into the apprenticeship standard, to do some research into the employer that you're applying with, making sure that actually you have got that real passion, that is an area of interest, because I think you need to go in with your eyes open, understand what you're committing to, because it is that kind of 12-month plus qualification that you're going through, and you really want it to be in an area that you want to get into. So do your research, read case studies, speak to people, reach out to people on LinkedIn, ask as many questions as you can before applying. And then when you do apply, make sure you kind of understand the organisation you're applying for. At Jet2, it's very values-based, so we want people that align to our company values more so particularly than we were looking for the skills. We want people that are going to be the right fit to the business, and then we can develop you through the apprenticeship to give you the skills to do the job well.
Yeah, and if you're an apprentice that's going to really work hard, then the employer's going to be lucky to have you. So you're also kind of interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you for the apprenticeship.
Thank you. Okay, so my advice would be, as Katie said, do your homework first. An apprenticeship is a massive commitment, and your career in general is going to last a long time. So make sure it's something you enjoy doing and you actually want to be doing it. So yeah, do a bit of background research. I would say if you're applying, get your CV up to date, get your predicted grades on your CV, get your work experience on your CV. Make sure your CV is nice and neat and tidy, clearly presented, concise, 2 pages max, I would say. And just be proactive. You're not going to be headhunted. You've got to find these roles and keep applying to them. And if you don't hear back, chase up and ask for feedback. Don't be passive and just wait for people to come and find you, because I think you're going to be waiting quite a long time, would be my advice on that one.
My advice would be, in general, just take like every opportunity you can, like when you're in an apprenticeship. Like, for example, in our department, there's a lot of like extra opportunities that might not be part of the day-to-day role that people can just get involved with. And just like getting involved with anything like that, anything that you're interested in, it doesn't need to be part of like the day-to-day role. So yeah, like be proactive and just learn as much as you can while you're there.
I usually say to people, where do you want to be? So if you're wanting to go to university or you want the apprenticeship route, look at your furthest goal aspirations and then work back at what you need, because they usually give you the entry requirements. Because obviously an apprenticeship is a big commitment, but if your dream is to go on to university, you need to ensure that after you've studied the apprenticeship programme that you can actually go on to university. I think you've got to be really honest with yourself about what it is you want from that apprenticeship programme, because you progress through the apprenticeship provision through promotions and more autonomy, more skills that you're allowed to have exposure to, allows you to train on the higher apprenticeships. So I think you've got to be really honest about where you want to be and then work back. That's my advice.
I just suddenly got really nervous because that was all really good advice. I would just say one good place to research, if you go onto the Institute for Apprenticeships website, that lists all the standards that you could possibly do, all the apprenticeships that you can do. If you go onto there, look at the specific standards, so data technician, for example, it lists all the skills, knowledge and behaviours that you would learn when on an apprenticeship. That would be quite impressive, I think, if you could present that in an interview, that you've looked through what you would learn. Because as much as when you're applying to the job, the apprenticeship job with an employer, it will be a job description, that might just give you a little bit more background knowledge as well. And obviously anybody who is in full-time employment, you can do that as well. You can look for upskilling in that way. Pretty much everybody in this room could put themselves through an apprenticeship or ask the employer to put themselves through an apprenticeship rather. So it's just a really good way of looking at how you can develop things throughout your working life.
Excellent advice, thank you. Big thanks to the panellists for being here today and to the audience and all of your questions and your interests. So we're going to wrap up now. The panellists will hang around for a little bit if you've got any more questions that you'd like to come and speak to them about, and they'll be down on the floor in the main room in the Leeds Arena. So big thanks to everyone here today, and yeah, thanks for being here at the Leeds Apprenticeship Recruitment Fair.
I decided to do an apprenticeship because it gives you that professional qualification and the ability to kind of move your career forwards within a certain industry.
I really liked the idea of earning on the job and learning from industry professionals. I won't have any student debt, there are no learning costs for me. I'm paid to be here in the building, which is great. And also I love that it's a qualification that's recognised everywhere and I can take somewhere else when I finish my apprenticeship.
My favourite part of the job is after you've been at work all day and then you look about and you see what you've done, you check if it's level and it's bang on level, and you just get that gratification at the end of the day that you know you've done it well and you've done it right and you know it looks good, and even your boss is telling you, oh, well done.
I've done 2 of the most highly technical roles during the course of my apprenticeship, and I am an HR professional, so I did not even know what numbers are. But here I got trained, skilled, and then I was empowered to run the patch by myself.
One of the main benefits, I think, is that there are no learning costs for me, so I don't need a student loan. I earn a wage, I'm paid to be here.
I think the benefits of an apprenticeship, it gives you that technical knowledge to an employer, such as university. You can kind of get stuck into your projects there, but it doesn't give you as much real-world experiences.
It's a level 3 what I'm pursuing, and it's an advanced apprenticeship program for 18 months. So during our program, we've had milestones to achieve and monthly assignments to do, but at the end of 18 months, I'll have to sit for an endpoint assessment, after which I will be a qualified NCVQ L3 apprentice who knows telecom operations and planning.
I work with there's other 3 apprentices and a few other bricklayers. They're all supportive. They're all great to work around. We have a laugh. Yeah, it's a really, to be honest, it's a really good environment to work in. I couldn't really ask for a much better bunch of lads to work with.
So I usually meet with my training provider once a month from the college. We meet online or in person to look at the work I've already done and to get some feedback on that, and to then identify gaps in my knowledge.
With our training provider, they've given us monthly coaching and guiding sessions. They also conduct a lot of classroom sessions and make sure that we understand the impact of our role in the larger scheme of affairs.
I think some common misconceptions of apprenticeship could be that it's always going to be in construction, like there's lots of different types of apprenticeships.
The work you do isn't real work. It's not true. I'm given true responsibility within the team, true jobs with real deadlines that help the team and the organisation as a whole.
Come make me a cup of tea. You don't really do out. You're just there as a dog's body, but you're not. You're there to work, you earn money, to learn trade and to become good at what you're doing.
Also, you don't have to be 16 and do it. Like I'm 27 now and in my 2nd year apprenticeship, so at any age I think you can go for it if you want to kind of forward yourself in a given sector.
Put 100% effort into it and you will come out, it will be beneficial to you.
My advice is for anyone who's thinking about an apprenticeship is have a look and see what you're interested in, because when you're interested in something you learn 10 times more than if it's something that you're pushed into by peer pressure, family, if everybody's going into the same industry. But I'd say find what you like doing, learn as much as you can prior to starting and just enjoy the journey and get into something that you want to do.
The benefit of an apprenticeship is build your skill, build your knowledge, build your experience, earn a salary, no student fees.
Happy days.
You get to gain a nationally recognised qualification. You can train and learn while you're earning money as well.
You learn on the job, you gain experience while you're learning.
The best way to learn is by doing a job, getting stuck in, getting straight in and getting that work experience alongside studying at the same time. It's the perfect balance.
You're able to get work experience, it's what employers are after, as well as working towards a recognised qualification.
The benefits are you can earn while you're learning, and also you can achieve a qualification and getting an apprenticeship in something that you really want to do.
Carve out your own career, find your footing in a business, take that time to learn and gradually think about what's going to get you out of bed in the morning and what's going to really excite you from a job.
You get on-the-job skills training, as it were, and you also get an opportunity to go and further your education.
I did an apprenticeship when I first started out as well. Best thing about it is earning and learning at the same time, gaining valuable job skills, life skills, giving that introduction into working in a professional environment, learning the basics of being in a workplace, learning new skills, meeting new friends, everything like that.
Hello, everybody. Is it time? Is it time to start? Absolutely. 29. Please sit down here. I'll stand. It's okay. Yeah, sure. So, welcome to the legal and financial panel. This is the second last panel of the day, and my name's Phil. I work for Open Source Arts. We're based down in Kirkstall, and we're helping by hosting these panel discussions today. And
Oh, there we are. Hello. I'm Myra. I also work at Open Source Arts. Welcome, everyone. Welcome.
And we've had a great day of panels. We've had some really great questions. So I think the invitation from us is, while you're listening to everything which the panelists have to say, think up some really difficult, challenging questions for them, because they're really good at answering really difficult, challenging questions. And that gets us more quality out of the panel. So without any hanging around, I'm going to hand over and just invite you all to tell us what your name is and who you're here representing. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Olivia Buckley and I am representing First Intuition and I am a Business Development Manager.
I'm Lucy. I work with Olivia at First Intuition and I've been training chartered accountants and tax advisors for 20 years, so hopefully lots that I can share with you.
Hi, my name's Katie Rankin. I'm the Emerging Talent and Careers Manager at Jet2.com and Jet2 Holidays.
Hi, I'm Jo. I work for HSBC and I am the Engagement and Programme Lead for Early Careers, and I started as an apprentice 30 years ago, so really passionate about all things apprenticeships.
Hello, I'm Natalie from Leeds City College, part of Luminate Education Group. I'm the Business Development Team Leader, so look after apprenticeships for Leeds City College.
Hello, I'm Jill Wright and I'm one of the directors at Kurt News Home. We're accountants and tax advisors based in North Leeds, team of about 60 people. We usually train, probably at any point in time, got about 20 trainees doing their accountancy and tax exams, mainly studying with First Intuition over here. So I'm probably the lead for any recruitment activities that we are doing at the moment.
Lovely, thank you. And why do you have so many apprentices in your organisations? What benefits do they bring, and what do you see from what they bring to you?
Okay, so it's really lovely to get a new mix of apprentices every year. Last year was a record for us. We took on 9 apprentices. We've not done that before. We're probably looking for 5 or 6 this year. So I do remember very much during the difficult times of 2008, 2009, we didn't actually recruit then. And actually, further down the line, it gave us problems because we were finding that for people who'd been with us a couple of years, they then didn't develop as well because they didn't have new trainees to develop alongside their own skills. So even in more difficult times, we think it's important for us to bring in new trainees. And actually, those new trainees sort of push the other trainees as they go along. So it's great because they come along with new skills. Some of the skills that I've had, I guess new trainees don't have on day one, but they bring in new skills that I don't have. So it's really good to get a real mix of people. We have 20 trainees at any point in time. Probably the full qualification takes about 5 years. So roughly 4 trainees every year, say for 5 years, is why we've got 20 at any point in time.
I was going to say, obviously, I'm not an employer, more from a training provider perspective, but you do find that when you work with employers, that they do get people in from like entry level to train up for the skills gap for the business, and you find that they'll train them up and they'll stay with the company for a decent amount of time. So that is a way that obviously you find with employers keeping apprentices. But obviously there's also the full-time members of staff as well that you can up-train onto an apprenticeship. So there's just a lot of different benefits of an apprenticeship. You don't have to come at entry level. You could do an apprenticeship as a senior manager. But yeah.
Yeah, thank you. We actually hiring quite large numbers at HSBC, so circa 400 a year onto our apprenticeship and degree apprenticeship programmes. And our CEO actually is really, really passionate about it, as he started at 16 in the bank. He hasn't done too badly. So we're really passionate about giving opportunities to young people, career changers, career returners, especially from those who don't have those opportunities or have barriers in the way. And it really helps us bring in new perspectives, new ideas. The younger generation, very tech savvy and social media savvy, which is the skills we're looking for. And we also know that the younger generation and apprenticeships are highly committed and highly driven. So that's exactly what we want to be one of the world's biggest banks.
Yeah, I think when we started at Jet2, we had a finance graduate scheme for people coming out of university, and we've now transitioned that to make sure that there are points to entry at any stage that you want to join the organisation. You can start on our level 3 within finance, level 4 or level 7, and develop both the knowledge and the skills to do that role well, with a range of different routes to go down on each of those, whether you're looking at the SEMA or ACCA route. But I think doing it through an apprenticeship gives you that real fantastic opportunity to earn while you learn and gain those qualifications at the same time.
Try and add something different. From a training provider's perspective, having trained chartered accountants for 20 years, 5 years ago, a level 7 apprenticeship became available that you could become a chartered accountant by doing all of that training as an apprenticeship. And that's been a huge shift that we've seen in the world of training. We train from level 2, 3, 4 and 7 now. I trained as a chartered accountant over 20 years ago. I had to go to university. There wasn't an option. Now it's much more available to people to get into that career straight away from school and work their way up through those levels. Of the over 500 students that we've got training with us at the moment, over 80% of them are studying via an apprenticeship, which again is a huge shift from when I started training many years ago, where it wasn't available at all. So just those opportunities that are available, firms that are training apprentices feedback to us that the learners are coming out much more, are developing those different skills quicker. They're doing everything in one. I did 3 years of training and then I learned how to do my job. Now it's very much about doing all of that in one go, and you get into that end point much more efficiently, and you're coming out with those different skills. So just seeing that huge shift and how beneficial it is to both the individual and the employers that we work with has just been a huge change, but all very, very positive.
Would you like to add anything?
No, I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah. Well, you can kick us off and tell us why do you think that an apprenticeship is a good way to enter the industry? And that's actually the question that you've really answered there. So please add your bit to that and then pass the mic along. So why do you think an apprenticeship is a good way to enter the industry?
So, yeah, just to kind of follow up on what Lucy had said, because she put it perfectly there, and Katie. So every apprenticeship is broken down into 3 components, which is knowledge, skills and behaviours. And the knowledge will be picked up by the technical qualification, but the skills and behaviours, that's what you build as what you do in your working day, how you actually perform well in the role. And I remember a few years ago in accountancy, somebody said to me, it's one thing to work in audit, but it's another thing to be a successful auditor. So it's one thing to be really, really smart with exams, but it's actually something completely different to perform well in your day-to-day role. I think the apprenticeship offers you the opportunity to pick up the technical qualification, but also be sure that you are performing well in your day-to-day job. So that would be my reason that the apprenticeship is so good.
I think for me, it's that earn as you learn, develop the skills and the experience, so you could come out with it with a master's degree level qualification, but a number of years experience behind you where you've earned that money and you've worked your way up in your career already and have so much experience to draw on that set you up for your career. And I think as well, doing it through an apprenticeship, it often opens up lots of other opportunities whilst you're learning. For example, in our apprenticeship programs, you go through a number of colleague development courses, you go on a number of days to understand the wider business organisation, because it's not just you're in this little silo of finance, there's so much more to the business operation for the employer that you work with, and understanding that and helping that to make sure that you're making the right decisions, that you know what impact the work that you does has on that organisation is really vital and sets you up for such a fantastic career. Also understanding what other opportunities there are out there as well. So I think apprenticeships are such a good way in that will set you up for that career, whether that be, as you were saying, for new starters joining the world of work, or reskilling, upskilling. There's opportunities for everyone, or just developing within the role. So we have lots of existing colleagues that are developing through apprenticeships as well, be that through the technical route, things like going up to the level 7, or through the management skills route as well.
Yeah, I'll just add very, very slightly. The reason I dropped out of uni and did an apprenticeship really is I've got a learning difficulty, and uni wasn't really set up for me at the time. They're much better now, just putting it out there. But I struggled to learn that theory and to understand it because I couldn't see it, I couldn't experience it. So I became an apprentice, which was really great for me. It was really hands-on. An apprenticeship is quite unique to you. You go at your own pace, different styles of learning, lots and lots of support as well. So I think that's what's great about an apprenticeship, is it's tailored to you and the opportunities are endless. Don't think you've got to be a graduate to be successful. I still sit here today as a senior manager and I'm still not a graduate, but I've done 9 apprenticeship programs. So I think it's a great opportunity.
It's really hard to follow on from that, but I think for me, apprenticeships are open for all. There's a few people that have come to me recently that have been homeschooled and haven't got GCSEs, and you really can do an apprenticeship if you don't have GCSEs. Whilst you would need to study alongside with functional skills, English and maths, you can come in there from an entry-level perspective. Obviously, a great alternative to uni. Not everyone is academic, not everyone learns best by tests and exams, and apprenticeships really is that alternative route that still gets you where you want to be. It might take slightly longer, but you're in the world of work, earning and learning. Obviously, I think degrees now are like £30,000-40,000. You wouldn't get that at all doing an apprenticeship because it's funded by the government and employers. So from that point of view, you're never going to be in debt, which is a massive plus for apprenticeships. And like I say, most people might learn best by hands-on, like you said, doing the job, learning as you go along. And that's the beauty of an apprenticeship. You can still get that qualification and the degree apprenticeships now. You can go anywhere from like level 2 to post-degree, postgraduate. So great opportunities.
Gosh, what can I add to that? I think for me, it's the contrast really between the way I trained. So I did a standard, go off to university, do an accountancy degree, and then got a training contract to do my chartered exams with one of the big firms at the time. And I'd pretty much say when I qualified, I was going to say all I could do was a set of accounts. I don't really think I could even do that, to be fair. I think I could pass accountancy exams. I think that's what I could do. And then I stumbled around for a few years, gradually trying to improve all my other skills in no particular sort of structured fashion. Probably did okay at the end of that, but the apprenticeship just offers you a structure to that. So I'm absolutely amazed at what our trainees come along, say 6 months after leaving school, and they can be face to face with big clients. And the skills that they already have at that stage are just phenomenal compared to what I had at that stage. And the skills that they come out when they're fully qualified, you know, they're way ahead of where I would have been when I first qualified. Yeah, they've got no debt either. I mean, I didn't, because it was so long ago that you didn't have debt at that time. But it's an amazing course. I think it's quite tough, and the world is tougher than it was when I trained. But I just think it's great. I think, you know, the fact that from day one, people are actively learning about the qualification that they're doing. They're putting it into practice. I completely agree with what you're saying. It's different people's learning styles, and the fact that you're practicing what you're learning about is just amazing. Helps so many people learn who learn in different ways.
I just want to spotlight your comment where you said you'd done 9 apprenticeship programs. Would you just tell us about your journey a little bit, please? Because I think everyone... She said it very quietly, but I think if anybody heard it, then I'd like you to tell us what your journey was.
A very, very long one. I'm quite old. So I left uni, much to the despair of my mother. Don't think she ever forgave me. I actually went full-time in my retail job and did 2 retail apprenticeships up to management, and very cheekily spoke to my trainer, working at a training provider, going, I want to do your job. So did my level 4 in training and development. Then I went into HR and did my HR ones. Ran a children's home for a couple of years. So did my teaching apprenticeships and my social worky apprenticeships. And I've done my management level ones since, I think. So now I am at HSBC running apprenticeships. I did it. Thanks, Mum.
It's great to hear, because actually it can follow you and support your learning and your progression through your entire career, actually, because we have an employee who has already done 1 apprenticeship and now they're doing a 2nd apprenticeship with us because they want to change their focus, you know, and it's good to hear that, actually. So you can start at the level that's appropriate for you and then progress through in a way that is helpful. Yeah. Okay. Congrats. Yeah, congratulations. Does anybody have any questions for the panelists, please? Who would like to ask the first one? Yeah?
What are you looking for when you're looking, because obviously you'll have set criteria for apprentices to come and join you. What are you looking for in an apprentice to come and join your businesses?
Very different to what you perhaps would think. So we now do what we call strength-based rather than competency-based interviews. So instead of having to give an example of when, we look for people's natural strengths, which is what they enjoy and what they are good at. But in the whole, we're looking for those diamonds in the rough, if you like, those with that potential, with the drive, with the ambition, who really want to learn and go on. We need to see that passion through the research they've done into the company. Perhaps they've done work experience or come to an event like today that they talk about, but really show that passion. That's what we're looking for. We don't care what grades you've got. We don't care if you did business or whether you did art. I think the weirdest graduate actually has got a degree in spiders. So it's about having that desire, commitment, and really willingness to learn.
Who'd like to ask the next question? Yeah. Just do a bit of navigation here.
Hi, we've heard some great examples, I think, from HSBC about your chief exec and how you've gone through your apprenticeships yourself. And we heard in the last session around how some businesses can't guarantee once you've done the apprentice to take it on. Can you just take us through what is the pathway, you know, once you've done an apprentice, what's it like then going into the company would be good. Thank you.
At HSBC, you're on a permanent contract, and then if you want to go up your levels in different apprenticeships, you can. So my boss has just done his master's apprenticeship, and I'm just about to do mine.
Yeah, our apprentices do start on a fixed term contract. That's to really push them to succeed. We want them to be performing well. We want them to pass that apprenticeship, and we really push them towards those distinction grades and want to support them to do well. But the intention is it's all based on our people plan, our skills that we need in the future. So I think if we have people that pass their apprenticeship and are performing well in the role, then the idea is there's a role there for them at the end of it. And so far, I always say touch wood, every single apprentice has passed, has gone into a permanent role and is still with us today.
It's really hard recruiting, so I don't want to have to do it too often, really. So everybody that we recruit, I want them to stay forever. That's probably quite unrealistic, but the aim is when we offer somebody a job, we offer them a job, and that's a long-term job. If it doesn't work out because they're not suited to us or we're not suited to them down the line, then yes, that may come to an end, but it doesn't ever come to an end just because the apprenticeships come to an end. It would be nothing to do with that. Because we get people when they've done an apprenticeship, they want to go on and do leadership and management training and things like that. So, the apprenticeship just gives a structure to some of their development, really. It doesn't, it doesn't mean they're only joining us for a fixed amount of time. Because, as I say, we invest a lot in them. We want them to stay, and our people, trainees, maybe a year above, 2 years above, 3 years above them, spend a lot of time with those new trainees. So that investment means that we want them to stay.
Yeah, I love that comment that you made about having learners in the organisation because it helps other people develop as well. It's so important to have said that. Thank you. Who else has a question, please? Hi.
Hi, you've mentioned about the positives of apprenticeship. What are the negatives? And I'm actually expecting silence, but...
I think it adds another layer of work. They have to do a file, they have to record evidence of the work that they're doing. And sometimes when they've come straight from school, where they're very much handheld, or straight from college, they're then doing a working day, they're doing a professional qualification, and they've got a training file to complete for their apprenticeship as well. So I think some of them find that a little bit, not too much hard work, but a lot to get their head around, I think. The other downside is, as a firm, we invest a bit more time in those people. But actually, I think, although that's an extra cost because we have to have people in place to do that, it's a good thing. And obviously, the fact that we can see people going out to clients after 6 months on their own is just phenomenal. I couldn't have done that. I couldn't have gone out to client after 6 months working at Ernst & Young when I trained. So there's a little bit more involved for the trainee, but it's all about finding the right trainees, and if you've got the right trainee, they absolutely sail through it. They just need to be organised. I think probably one of the skills they need to have is just keep on top of things like their apprenticeship file. Don't leave it for 2 months and not do anything, because it's a big task to do then. So.
Just going to add to that. I wouldn't say a negative, but something that we always have to discuss with employers is the need for training. Whilst we do that at the college side of things from day release or block release, or we come out to the workplace depending on cohort sizes, they've still got that accountability to do the training in the workplace as well, and you might find some employers might not give that as much. So I'd say that would be slightly a downside, but that's something that we really instill from the onset before we take on an apprentice, the commitment. Because yes, there's a commitment from the apprentice, but there is also the commitment from the employer, and it's that two-way street really. And you can't do an apprenticeship without an employer and a training provider, so you all collectively have to work together. And like you were mentioning about the off-the-job training, they do have to complete like logbooks, whether that be electronic or paper version, but they have to do 6 hours a week of training towards their apprenticeship. So it is keeping on top of that, because you don't want to leave it 2 months because you can't remember what you did 2 months ago, let alone last week. So yeah, I'd say that would be just something to be aware of.
I'm going to speak to the young people in the room who perhaps don't consider an apprenticeship because they want to go to uni for a good time. I get asked this all the time, but what's the social life like? I can only speak for where I've worked. We still have a social life. We are still human beings. We still like to go out and have fun. The benefit is we've got money in our pockets to spend to have a good time. And also our graduates and apprenticeships, they do go and arrange football nights, cocktail making nights, all sorts of weird and wonderful things, bowling, etc. So there really is a community of young people to support. Because I know the young people wanted to ask that, but were too scared. Yeah.
I think for me, not necessarily a negative, but I suppose for apprenticeships, they are more specific, tailored to the particular career or role you want to go into. Apologies, going hoarse there. And I think not necessarily negative, but something to consider is really do your research and make sure that it's a career you want to get into. Because there's nothing worse than, I think, especially when you're perhaps younger and you're not quite sure what you want to do with your life, I think take that opportunity to read, to speak to people, to reach out to people, connect with people on LinkedIn and find out what it is to get into that role or that career opportunity, what that can bring for you. Because you don't want to get stuck into an apprenticeship and realise it's not for you. So I think take that time to do your research, to ask the questions. And being here today and being at the panel today, I think is fantastic that you've taken that step to come along and find out more, but use all these fantastic individuals that we've got on all the stands and the individuals we've got today to ask those questions, find out more and make sure it's right for you.
Sorry, I was just going to add one more thing, and it's not probably a negative about doing an apprenticeship, but I think we've had a bit of a battle probably in the last 4 or 5 years in the communication around the sort of professional apprenticeships. So this being about finance and legal apprenticeships, whether there was an element of stigma associated with it, but I just think that communication has probably taken longer to get out than it should have done, and that's part of what we're all here to do today, to just demonstrate that it is absolutely that viable route into getting to where you want to go to, and you don't have to go to university. And again, without speaking out of turn, I know a lot of schools and colleges will be assessed, I guess, on progression and into university, but don't feel that that is the only option, and this is what we're here to share. You can get to that same point just the same and potentially earlier with the skills along the way by taking that apprenticeship route. So I think the communication has been a bit of a stumbling block.
Thanks. And I just wanted to also track back to something that Katie might have said previously in a previous conversation, that sometimes employers will let you visit and actually see if it's the right employer for you to do your apprenticeship with, because it can feel very different whenever you're in there than whenever you go for an interview. So I think you said just get in touch with people and see if they might have an opportunity for you to come to an open day or do a week's work experience. And I know certainly in the construction panel earlier on, they said if you want to come and do a week on site, for example, then you can come and see if it's the right company for you, because every company is unique. So I thought that was a good piece of advice just to speak in again. Go for it, yeah.
I'm just going to do a little plug if I can, if that's all right. Yeah. You should all be on half term next week. So if you're free Monday and Tuesday, we have a free accountancy academy running for 2 days, 10 till 4, Monday and Tuesday in the centre of Leeds. Totally free. Come and find out if the world of finance and business is for you. So if you want more information about that, come and see us on 24. Is that where we are? B24 downstairs.
Great.
Yes, a shameless plug here as well, but to really help you, our work experience is open for year 9 through to year 13 students, and it really gives you, and it's hybrid, bit of virtual, bit of physical, give you a real insight into HSBC, because we are more than just a bank. There are just endless opportunities, but also we do insider days. And we invite you into the offices to get to know each other, but also we can arrange mentors with you from people in the business, pair you up with apprentices, graduates, whichever route you go down, to really help support you to find out what it is really like, because it's not always as it seems. So speak to as many people as possible to find out what it's really like.
And just to add to that, all the employers we work with as well, we always kind of suggest a trial period or like work experience, just to kind of understand if that's the right fit for you, because with apprenticeships there is a commitment. Generally it's a minimum of 12 months, can be longer. Obviously a lot of the higher level apprenticeships in finance, the chartered manager, is a lot longer, and it's got to be a right fit for both parties, the employer and the apprentice. So yeah, we always recommend doing a trial just to make sure it's a good option for you.
Gosh, we're spending the evening doing plugs, aren't we here? So I'm going to put another plug in. So Wednesday the 22nd of February, we're having an insight evening at Kirk News Home, and as amazing as it is to sit and chat to you and have all these lovely people here, the people that you want to talk to ideally are trainees who've been sat in your shoes, you know, probably a year ago or 4 years ago or whatever, and just talk to them. So we have an evening pizza and all of that, but an opportunity to meet amazing trainers like First Intuition, meet our existing trainees and meet the people who've just qualified as chartered or certified accountants and get a chance to ask some of them the questions, because they're the ones who'll tell you what it's really like.
That's perfect timing, because our next panel is actually a panel of apprentices themselves. So you come back and you can hear it from the horse's mouth.
Thank you. My question is, we've all heard about the green agenda and how that's driving us forward. I just wondered if, I'm conscious of time, but if a few of you could just share in terms of how the green agenda is shaping the sector and taking it forward, with a particular focus on, you know, how is that shaping your views in terms of apprentices and apprenticeship skills going forward?
I'm really passionate about this, but as Lumen Education Group, it's on our agenda to be carbon neutral by 2035, which is massive considering we're like the third biggest training provider in the country. But as an apprenticeship kind of provider, we do a lot of things online at the moment, so e-portfolios instead of the paper versions, and there used to be a lot of paperwork in apprenticeships, but now that's all online, so people can upload it there instead of taking away the trees. But we're always looking at ways that we can become green and working with businesses as well that have sustainable offerings. We work with quite a few companies that it's at the core, and it's very important to us as well as a training provider that we work with businesses that kind of follow that agenda as well. So yeah, it's something we're working towards hard as well, but things like electric vehicles, we're looking at EV apprenticeships that can help with that kind of sector, but in terms of finance and apprentice and accounting apprenticeships, at the moment it would be the e-portfolio and doing things online, doing things remotely to save on commuting to the college. I mean, we're big advocates on using public transport where possible, park and ride, but that's the kind of things that we're doing as a training provider.
Yes, I'm not going to talk about HSBC for a minute, but the actual qualifications. So I'm on a Trailblazer group, so we actually write the apprenticeship standards, and we've just embedded green and sustainability into the apprenticeship standards, as well as backed up by, yes, all the great stuff that all of us as companies are doing around being carbon neutral as soon as possible, as is 2030, and all these incentives, etc. We're a race. No, it's not a race. We're in it together. But not only encouraging our colleagues and apprentices to be greener, but also to help our customers to be greener as well. So it's very embedded throughout all of the curriculum, apprenticeship or not.
Great. Thank you very much. And I just want to also celebrate our first all-female panel of the day. That's great.
Whoop, whoop.
Took us until panel number 4 to actually achieve that. I'm off camera. Have to make it authentic. And big round of applause to the panelists. They're going to stick around for the next 10 minutes. So if you're interested to talk a bit more about anything that you've heard, then please do come and approach and have a chat. They're very happy to talk. And if, like Myra says, you'd like to stick around for the final panel of the day and hear some stories from the horse's mouth and real opinions from experience, then we have a panel of apprentices to close the day. So thank you. That will start at 5:30? 6:30. Yeah. Great. Thanks, everybody. Everybody, welcome to the last panel of the day. This is arguably the best panel and the most useful and most interesting. Woo woo! We've got some cheerleading going on the back row there. Woo woo! This is people who actually know what they're talking about on the panel, right? People who are actually in it and actually winning. So, welcome to people who are serving apprenticeships. And have any of you completed apprenticeships? Or are you all? So you've recently completed yours. And everyone else is still in apprenticeship?
I'm on my last, I'm just approaching my end of my apprenticeship, so I've got a couple months left, but yeah.
Cool, okay. Well, let's hear from everybody and who everybody is. And yeah, then we'll just have a good conversation and actually hear some decent questions about what it's really like to do an apprenticeship and go through it and be with an employer and earn while you learn. So, would you like to start?
Hi everyone, I'm Daniel. I work for Leeds City Council as a admin apprentice. Yeah, been working there since 2021, and I like it.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Isaac. I'm a junior software engineer now at Jet2. I did a software development technician apprenticeship, which I finished in December of last year, and I've now moved into a full-time role.
Hi, I'm Finn. I work for HSBC, as I'm sure the American jacket gives away. I'm actually doing a degree apprenticeship as well, so I get a financial services management degree and a level 6 financial services professional degree, and I currently work in the branch, but I have 3 more placements, so 3 more years where I could be doing absolutely anything, and I can't really tell you right now what it'll be. So yeah, that's me.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Heather. I'm an events apprentice with Leeds City Council, and I'm actually part of the events team that put on this event today. So it's it's really nice to be here, and thank you all for coming.
Hi, I'm Max, and I'm an assistant quantity surveyor for GMI, and I'm currently doing a degree apprenticeship in quantity surveying.
Lovely, welcome apprentices. And I'm Myra. I work at an organisation called Open Source Arts, and that's my colleague Phil. And how did you decide actually to become an apprentice? What was that decision?
So I'm working in construction industry, and so do a lot of people in my family. So I've always had that interest of wanting to go into construction, and then went to a careers fair like this, had a look through a few brochures and thought quantity surveying what way forward for me, and that's how I ended up doing what I'm doing.
Thank you. I got into my apprenticeship because, well, actually I did a Kickstart placement first. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the government scheme that there was. So I had a 6 months placement, and off the back of that I applied for my apprenticeship, which I got. And I think the reason that I wanted to do an apprenticeship is because I had quite a difficult time, and I thought that I wouldn't have another chance to be able to like further my education or be in the kind of world that I wanted to be. But an apprenticeship was a really good stepping stone for me to be able to get back the future that I thought I might have lost. So I'm really happy to have my apprenticeship.
So the reason I applied for a degree apprenticeship is because I was a bit of a spoiled child, and I decided I wanted to get a degree, but I didn't want any debt. So I said, you know what, let's chuck the two together and let's get a job, an apprenticeship and a degree all at the same time, which is how we ended up in this scenario, to be honest, which is still a bit crazy as an 18-year-old, but here I am, I guess. And a fun fact, I don't even remember applying for it because I was out for my dad's birthday at the time, and it just happened. So yeah, a year on, here I am.
Yeah, I decided I didn't want to go to university because I really don't like exams, and I thought about what I enjoyed doing, and that was writing programs. So I looked for software development apprenticeships, and here I am.
Hi, I think I joined during COVID, so it was kind of difficult getting work in general, and I just came out, well, I was in university and felt not really like getting into the corporate world in itself. So I joined up for Leeds eHub, which I highly recommend. If Carl's over there, he will sort you out. But yeah, so through the Leeds Council eHub, just joined up with them. They gave me opportunities. You can work with us as an apprentice, and it's a good idea to get your careers up, get experience, and get my confidence up as well, and just ease me into that whole level of actually getting into work, and that's how I got into it. So yeah.
Amazing, thanks. And from your own experience of being an apprentice in an organisation, what contributions do you now realise that you're making to the organisation by being part of it?
That's a good question. Honestly, as a contribution, I feel like I do little bits like helping out with this, all events, and just being a part. I can't really put on paper what my contributions are, but that's not because they're any less. It's just how the team makes me feel, how they say, oh, we want you here, we want you there, how they make me feel. And it's not like you're apprentice and you just there in the corner or anything. You're one of the people working there, you're one of the team, and they don't treat you any different than that. They will always kind of respect you, and you're just there. They will just help you out, and you can just take part in everything you want to do. They won't shun you or anything. It's just you're one of the team, and that's something I really like. So I can't really label the contributions, but I just know there's a lot I think I put on the team and how they treat me, and basically their smiles. It's kind of cheesy, but when they smile, they're like, "Oh, thanks for helping me." It's just nice. But yeah, so.
Yeah, I think it's similar for me. In that it's hard to sort of put a label exactly on what I've sort of contributed, but it's a similar thing of sort of being part of my team and really feeling part of it has sort of helped me feel good about it, I guess. Don't know.
That was a great answer.
No, I completely agree with what the two gents have already said. But also I think one big contribution that I have, obviously HSBC is massive, but having a fresh set of eyes on everything is always invaluable to an organisation. And it was only this time last week I was eating a steak with the head of the private bank of the UK, and he's saying to me, be brutal with me here, off the record, what do you think? And it's just stuff like that where you get to give your contribution, where you just sit there and you realise I actually do make a difference here, because now he can go and act on that, whereas if he didn't ask it, he'd still be left in the dark and not any idea on how to improve himself further.
Thank you. I think the contribution comes from a lot of places. Like, I think everything everyone said is like a really valid point. And I think like being a key part of your team and your job is an amazing thing. But I also think that as an apprentice, you can contribute in a separate way, because you are, maybe there's other apprentices in your team, but for instance, with me, I'm the only apprentice. And so I'm the person that's like going to like college and has that one day of like learning where I'm getting valuable information that I can bring back to my team to help like further what we do. Because if I'm being trained in a specific subject and like my job, my organization is paying for it, it's like as well, it's like a two-way street of they're teaching me, but I can help teach them what I'm being taught from my training provider. So it really makes a good communication system there. And I think I feel like important when I do that.
Yeah, pretty much same as what everybody else has said so far. It's a great place to start as an apprentice, because you're learning and getting taught, and eventually you grow into a position within the team that you're in where you can contribute as much as others can, and you're getting brought up in that company and learn that company's way of working, so you become a valuable member, and then you can start bringing on people and helping them with stuff you're learning at university, college, or wherever you are.
Do any of you train other apprentices or share your learning with others within the team? Maybe this is a no, but I'm just curious.
I have before helped people that maybe newer trainees and apprentices to the company, and just give them little pointers in, this is what I've done at college, this is how I can help you with it. Maybe shared some advice through different units we've been through. Like the same, you get taught it from older people that you're working with that have more experience in the industry, and you pick it up off them and what they think.
I've not necessarily like trained an apprentice. I'm definitely not qualified to do that. But there's times where I've felt that I've been able to bring the training that I've had into the work environment and kind of help teach people things that maybe we don't know. So like when we look at what we're doing now, like this big event that I was like part of helping with, it's like things like that I've learnt from college, like event life cycles and stuff, that with the proper theory and practice can help enable better things in my workplace. So I think there's always an element of an apprenticeship is where you are taught, but you can also teach too. I think it's definitely a two-way street, like I was saying before.
Yeah, I completely agree, to be honest. And I wouldn't say teach is right work, 'cause I'm only 5 months in, but giving tips to other degree apprentices is always something that I feel like I can do, because in my cohort there's 32 of us and 6 of us have got the same placement, I think. And in terms of development, it doesn't hurt just to share your top tips and tricks, no matter what industry you're in, even if it's how to approach someone or something like that. It's always worthwhile doing, because ultimately it might stick with them even if you don't realise it will.
Yeah, I've had a bit of experience with helping sort of less experienced people who've joined our team out, and we've recently done some mentorship training, so I'm hoping that next time we take on a new bunch of apprentices, I'll be able to sort of become a mentor and help someone throughout their journey.
Yeah, I've kind of taught a lot of people actually, not as any apprentice itself. Part of my role, which was kind of the deep end, which I wasn't sure about, was helping new starters. So when I started, I think about 2 months in, more staff started, but because I was more, again, as apprenticeship, you are part of the team. So because even though I was apprentice, I was there before them, it was like I had to teach them how certain things go. So we're just doing half a day with them, making sure they knew all the systems, and that felt kind of really mature in the role itself. Like, oh, I'm known fresh here, but I'm teaching others. If there's new starts, I help around, show them how the council is. Not necessarily things what I learned from my apprenticeship, but there's such a thing as off-the-job training, not to get too much into it, but as part of apprenticeship, you need to, or part of mine, you need to find out your own learnings and what you learn, not necessarily from the course, but just things you look through. So that could be policies, health and safety, and all this information which is valuable for others to learn. So if I learn something key, for example, about, it could be such as office policies, there's a certain way you should actually look at a monitor to stop you from getting backache, which is actually in most corporates' policies and procedures, which is weird, but it's necessary. And just letting people know that, because it could be, end of the day, it could be someone saying, oh, my neck's stiff, my back's stiff, but they don't know about certain little policies like that, which actually help with health and safety. And just even teaching them that is just beneficial, I think. And sorry.
Great question, thank you. And I would like to know, maybe just give us a window, each of you, because you all come from very different apprenticeships. So give us a window on what a typical week looks like for you, so we get a feeling for how much is working, how much is studying, how much is recording and reporting, that kind of stuff. So we get a bit of a window on what it was like for you, or what it is like for you during your apprenticeship.
Thank you. Typical week. So I think we're all on one day. I'm not going to talk for everyone, but so one day I do studying, or I can split that into one half day and the other half day. My team kind of lets me do it as myself. I don't really have to go into a college, and with my training providers kind of freely with that, which is you sort out your own relationships with whoever your tutor is. So mine is more flexible than others, and a lot of it's kind of sometimes either going through what's provided to me or taking some time to actually sort out what I kind of want to learn on. Again, it could be looking through the Leeds Learning Portal. Leeds government have their own learning hub as well, so I can go through that and learn and jot that down, like I've learned this, and that also counts as towards my learning. Sorry if I'm going a tangent, but yeah, it's a lot of self-learning, which I don't think lots of people go into, but basically learning out throughout the day, and sorry.
Yeah, so I've finished my apprenticeship now, but when I was doing my apprenticeship, it was filling out a portfolio of different sort of software development core ideas. So a lot of my work was when I'm working on a project, talking about the different criteria that I've met with that project and why I think I've met it. And then once I had all of that done, that was my apprenticeship complete. All of my off-the-job learning we did in sort of training period at the start of my apprenticeship, rather than doing it throughout the course of it, so that we could all learn how to sort of program properly.
So no 2 weeks of mine are the same, which is kind of weird. So for example, like this week, I'm here today. Bear in mind I'm meant to be working in a branch, by the way. Tomorrow I'm in Birmingham for an in-person lecture. And then Wednesday, I'm down in London, I think. I'm not sure, I need to check tomorrow. Thursday, I'm in a school delivering financial education for some children. Then on Friday, I'm actually back in my branch doing my job. So it's an absolute whirlwind, to be honest with you, the apprenticeship, because I could be anywhere, anytime, and I don't even know until I log on a Sunday night and realise I have an assignment due anyway. So it's a complete whirlwind.
Thank you.
So I think the best thing about my apprenticeship is that, again, it's never the same, like, a week from week, and there's so much opportunity. I think, like Danielle said, I have a set day, again, which is flexible, but, like, you do about, like, 6 hours a week, or which can vary, like, studying. I can go into college. I have a tutor. I can meet with them virtually or go into college. I quite like going into college because I feel like you're part of the environment. It feels a bit more tangible and stuff. But I'd say in a week, I could be doing anything from sitting on a panel to writing out rotas to designing a guide or delivering a briefing. And it's really exciting, and you get to interact with a lot of different people, especially the nature of mine, like as an events apprentice and doing things like this, like there's hundreds of exhibitors and thousands of visitors, so it can be like a really lively and like ever-changing thing, which I found quite exciting.
Yeah, so I'm based in the construction industry, so 4 days out of the 5 I'll be on site, working from an office based on site, and every day is different, doing different tasks. And then 1 day a week I'll go to uni, do 8 hours at uni every Thursday, and then once every 3 months I might have an assignment that I'll have to do, which will require a bit of what you'd probably class as homework. So there is challenging aspects of it, but it's few and far between. As long as you're good at managing your time and things like that, it shouldn't be an issue really. They're learning and working at the same time.
Nice, thank you. So I'm going to open it out and see if there's any questions from the audience. Don't be there is no such thing as a bad question. Does anyone have any questions? It's a great opportunity to find out what it's really like from an apprentice. Yeah.
Hiya. Can I ask how many different apprenticeships each of you applied for? Thank you.
I have done 2 apprenticeships. I'm currently on my 2nd apprenticeship. I did a level 4 one first, and now I'm doing a level 5 and 6 one at a separate company. So I've applied for 2 and done both of them.
Thank you. This was the first apprenticeship I applied for. I came from a placement in the same place, so I continued my placement through the apprenticeship.
Before HSBC, I applied for one other one actually, a company I was already at, and I got rejected for that one at the final stage actually, due to not being good enough in an assessment centre. So if you ever get rejected from one, all I'm going to say is make sure you ask the interviewer for some feedback on it, because what they told me I actually worked on, and then ultimately I got this apprenticeship, which is arguably better anyway, so everything happens for a reason, I guess.
I think I applied to 3 or 4 apprenticeships, and I got offered one other one, but I chose the Jet 2 one because it was overall a better offer.
This is my 2nd one I applied for. I applied for one with Leeds City Council, but for software engineering. Then again, listen to the feedback. Applying for apprenticeship is the same as applying for a job, so it's good to rehearse questions, if that helps as well, and take it more as, instead of like a college interview, think of it as a job interview, because that's what you're doing at the end of the day, you're doing a job. Think of it that way, and when I started doing that, that's when I got it the 2nd time. It was more focused and less, more serious for me to think about.
Thank you.
Who'd like to ask the next question? Yeah, over here. Oh, and then Sabina. Keep that question in the oven, Sabina. Yeah.
Good evening. Do you have guaranteed work opportunities when you finish your apprenticeship?
I would say no. That's up to the company you work for. I would do say that as you're actually working for the company itself, internal job searches, apprenticeship, if you're not guaranteed opportunity, you still can apply for roles in that company. So, for example, if I working for Leeds City Council, I can apply for a different role and still continue my apprenticeship as long as it's still in the same organisation. So, and that role might be more permanent than the one I actually got with the apprenticeship, if that helps. Though I wouldn't say it can continuously. It just depends on which organisation you work for and your communication there. Because again, with there's budgets, and the way apprenticeships sometimes are done, I through a separate budget line, and that's only for a certain amount of time. But I believe organisation wants to put money into or what you're doing, they won't want to just get rid of you. So there's going to be some way of keeping you on, is what I would say. But I would say no, not really guaranteed, but potentially. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's a similar situation of it's not necessarily guaranteed that you'll get a job, but I know that at Jet 2 every apprentice who's finished their apprenticeship has had a job offer at the end. It's just that case of finishing the apprenticeship and making sure that sort of the company wants to keep you because you're an asset, really.
Yeah, with mine we've been told that we have got one at the end of it guaranteed. But obviously what that job is unknown, because you make that many connections along the way. 4 years is a long time, and the amount of people you meet through that process is going to be uncountable towards the end of it. So it'll be more a case of people, hopefully you've left an impression on them, so it's different people actually trying to drag you to their team rather than a case of scrounging around for a job as such, I think.
Thank you. So I don't have a guaranteed job at the end of my apprenticeship, but my manager's in the back, so if she changes her mind. But also, I think the thing about apprenticeships is when you look at like the statistics, I'm not sure if this is a bang on number, but I think around 80% of apprentices get carried. Is it 87? Is it 94%? Wow, that's even better than I thought. 94% of apprentices continue on into work with their employer afterwards. So that gives me some hope. And I also think like Daniil had a really strong point when he was saying that these like people are investing their time and their money into you because they want you there, like, and they're not going to just train you up to like throw you away. So I think as long as you're like working hard and you're engaged and invested, then an apprenticeship, while not 100% always guaranteed, even though it is sometimes, is a really good option anyway.
I think mine's slightly different in a way that I applied for a full-time job and it's developed into an apprenticeship when I decided that I wanted to do university. So as much as I'm not guaranteed a job if I do something wrong or out like that, but nigh on, I've started off as a full-time job and developed into an apprentice. And obviously GMI are investing a lot of money into me and into his development as they do with all their apprentices. So I think they'd be looking to keep on anyone who applies, really.
Nice. What one piece of advice or guidance or suggestions would you give to someone who's looking to do an apprenticeship?
I think when you're applying for apprenticeships and going to interviews, etc., I'd make sure you do as much research into the industry and the company that you're off to work for. Just think it always shows that you're keen and interested in what the company does, and you've not got much experience at that point, so employers will take what they can from you being keen and wanting to learn and try and develop you into a person that's good for them.
I think that's a really good point, and I completely agree. And I think as well, when you're researching and you're looking into the companies, also, like even pre that, research and look into the amount of apprenticeships that are available. Like you can be an apprentice, like I'm an events apprentice, I know Daniil is an admin apprentice. Like you can be an apprentice from everything from like hair and beauty through to a literal doctor. And there's so many like opportunities that I didn't even realize there was. And there's a fantastic website that's the Institute for Apprenticeships that just lists like all the different things that you can do. So I think the best thing to do is to look into it, but not just the companies, like the sort of apprenticeships themselves.
Yeah, I 100% agree with what you've both said there. But a bit of advice I'd have for anyone once you've actually managed to secure an apprenticeship, which I'm sure you all will if you're here tonight, is don't be scared, don't be fearful. You know, put yourself into as many different opportunities as you can, because ultimately, as much as it is what you know in business, a lot of it is actually who you know as well. And if you go out there, make a lot of connections, get involved in a lot of different things, then good opportunities will ultimately follow you.
Yeah, I think for my sort of job role in my industry, it's a bit of a different one, because it's something that can sort of be done in a non-sort of business environment. So I think my biggest tip for anyone in that sort of situation is to make sure you actually know what you're doing and sort of have that passion for it, because I think that really shows in interview, and I think that is a very sort of desirable trait for a person to have. If you can prove that you really enjoy what you do and you really like it, I think that sort of makes you stand out a bit.
Thank you. Everyone's advice was really good and kind of left me in a hard spot. So I would say the boring one is, once you do get the apprenticeship, jot down the things that you learn. Make sure you have a record of what you're actually learning. And I think that's important just for after you finish your apprentice. And I think these are things you can put in your CV. If you, again, you be adventurous, you do what you can, take on the opportunities, just make sure you write it down. Because when you actually go into them job interviews, you can actually say, I've done this, I've done that, taking chances. You just want to make sure you remember this stuff. Plus, it helps afterwards in your assessment. You can always say, I've done this because of that, and I've learned that because of this, and jot down everything you've learned. Perfect.
Wise advice from everybody. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and opinions and experience, like really from right up close in the moment. It's so valuable. And if anybody would like to have another or a little bit more of a chat with any of the panelists, please stick around. They're going to be here for the next 10 minutes or so. Thank you very much. I didn't ask you that beforehand, but it'd be great if you could stick around for another 10 minutes. And please do come up and ask the questions, because like they said, do your research, and this is part of the research. So big thanks to all of you. Big thanks to all of you and all of the audiences today. Huge thanks to Myra. And big thanks to everybody who has helped to put this event together. Teresa, Simon, Yvonne, Gabby, Martin's granddad, who's over there, who's been helping with the live stream today, and everybody in between, David on the sound desk over there, and everybody who's been part of it. Sabina, who? Heather. Oh, Heather, yeah, exactly. Everybody who's been part of it. It's been a great day, and please, if you're interested, do more research and get stuck in, because it's a great way to enter industry, and I wish you every success. Thank you.